Hey folks, welcome to the finale of Black and White. It's been 3 years, 8 months, and 29 days since Starsky first fought Cynthia. I figured it was time for a little rematch. Now, while Cynthia has been training these 3 years, Starsky has been kind of taking a vacation. So, basically, Starsky is taking on Cynthia at the same level that he was when he left the Pokemon League 3 years ago. Will he still be able to win? Of course, he's Starsky. But he'll be relying on some old and some new tactics. As you can see, I'm going for Double Team. That was basically the saving grace back in the original Pearl run. I would use Double Team and nothing, well, a lot of things actually, but ideally nothing would be able to hit Starsky, and so the rather fragile defenses wouldn't really matter. Now, unfortunately, there were a number of factors that didn't really aid my progress, i.e. the computer hates me, and Aura Sphere has perfect accuracy. Those were the two main things. But, as before, as 3 years ago, using Double Team on Spiritomb, and getting up to 6 stages of evasion, so hopefully nothing will be able to hit him. That's not entirely the case, as you might be able to guess. But it's basically the ideal situation for Starsky in any case. And it is a little bit tedious to use 6 Double Teams, but by the time you've gotten up 1 or 2, or 2 or 3 really, the Spiritomb really doesn't have much of a chance to hit you, so you can keep using it safely. And yeah, Double Team is a little cheap, but at the same time, it's in-game, and I don't really care what the Wi-Fi people think. Because just because you can't hit my Pokemon doesn't mean that I'm cheating. Like, come on. Anyway, the new tactic in Starsky's arsenal is Substitute, taking a page from Lilo. Honestly, it's really useful. And also, screw you, Sucker Punch, you're a jerk. Now, the reason I can use Double Team so much on Spiritomb and not really care that it's using Double Team is that Starsky has Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace is a perfect accuracy move, so I can reliably hit Spiritomb every time. Now, ideally, I'll be able to go into future encounters with this substitute, but with computer, who knows. Will-O-Wisp could be a butt. Burn cuts attack and causes damage. Wouldn't really want that, but honestly, the chance of it hitting is pretty low, and I would be able to recover it from it fairly quickly. It would just add more tedium to the whole experience. That was a misclick. It didn't matter. Whatever. And of course, Spiritomb managed to live by a hair, so that means another round of Aerial Aces. That tends to be the case, unfortunately. A lot of Pokemon like to live just by the skin of their teeth. Now see, this has the possibility of a 4-hit KO. It's really the random number generator getting against me. But Starsky will persevere. See, look, that's an easy 4KO right there. And that takes care of Spiritomb. Now, over on the original fight, the tactic was more or less the same. Use Double Team, and then use Aerial Ace. But Spiritomb had a number of other difficulties kind of in my way, making things difficult. Honestly, its moveset changed for the worse in the new games, I think. Because yeah, it has Sucker Punch, but back here it had like Dark Pulse and Embargo, which are honestly a lot more threatening, I think, personally. Because with Dark Pulse you can attack something anytime. Sucker Punch is good situationally, and chances are things will be attacking it, but god, Dark Pulse, come on. And then Embargo is especially annoying for this fight, because, well, in-game, Embargo also blocks the use of trainer items, rather than just hold items. So, my need to constantly heal using Hyper Potions definitely came up a lot more. Now, as you can see, I wasn't able to go straight into my Double Team strategy. I got 1-up, but unfortunately he got his Dark Pulse in, and I didn't feel safe enough to keep going without healing. So that caused me to waste a couple turns until I was able to get the double team going. But once it starts going, it's really the same strategy. Of course, I don't have a substitute on this moveset, so, well, I'm going to be running that one little bit more risk compared to how I am in Black and White. Also, Spiritomb, you really shouldn't be hitting me with that level of evasion. Like, come on. Yeah, Spiritomb in Diamond, Pearl, Platinum is definitely a lot more offensively based. Has Embargo, Psychic, Silver Wound, and Dark Pulse, rather than the kind of an annoyer strategy of the first of Black and White, you know, with the Sucker Punch and Double Team. I don't know. I do like that they're giving it a more tactical or interesting strategy in Black and White, but here it actually does damage. But this also means that I can use Steel Wing rather than Aerial Ace against it here, and actually possibly maybe get the defense boost that Steel Wing grants like 10% of the time. Really not a reliable thing to go on, unfortunately, so yeah, that's part of the reason I replaced it for Black and White. Anyway, wanted to make sure I finished it off this time so it didn't heal, so Aerial Ace rather than Steel Wing, and that takes care of Spiritomb. Now then, Milotic. I've said things about this Milotic. Definitely a threat, definitely bulky. This is, above all, probably the Pokemon I'd be most worried about getting to a war of attrition with. And it doesn't help that a freaking Blizzard hit through 6 double teams. Blizzard has, what, 75 accuracy? And it hit through twice through 6 double teams. Think about that. That is extremely low probability. But luckily, the substitute... Oh, come on! Hydro Pump has equal accuracy to Blizzard. What is happening here? I don't understand. Well, the answer is that the computer hates me. But basically, since I'm using substitute, that minimizes the damage it would cause. Blizzard would be a one-hit KO, pretty much absolute, I'm pretty sure. So having a substitute essentially allows Starsky to live without, you know, while still taking hits. Which, you know, happens because the computer hates me. And I shouldn't blame horrible luck when I'm using a rather cheesy strategy of high evasion. But at the same time, come on. Anywho, over on this side, Milotic isn't quite the same offensive powerhouse. It doesn't have Blizzard, for instance, or I believe possibly Hydro Pump, I'm not sure. But it is overall more on the defensive end of things with its moveset. You Surf rather than Hydro Pump, I think. It has Ice Beam rather than Blizzard. And in this case, Starsky was able to take it out with 2 hits, so less thing to worry about, less chances for it to attack. But, you know, it raised a good 10 levels. I can't expect Starsky to be able to 2-shot it again, having not trained. Anyway, Garchomp, this thing, Stone Edge right there. That is its killer move against Starsky. As you might imagine, it one-shot Starsky, but as you might not imagine, or if you might imagine based on my ranting about Blizzard and Hydro Pump, it hits way more often than it should. I lost many attempts to a Stone Edge just coming, whoops, too bad, you can't do shit. Yeah, screw that Garchomp, screw it! Speaking of that Garchomp, here it is again. Isn't that wonderful? Now, I'm not really sure how much Garchomp has changed from the 2 versions. I mean, Garchomp is always basically a physical offensive destroyer for Cynthia. Yay, critical, it's just gonna use a full restore, isn't it? No, maybe not, whatever. Nope, it's back in the yellow, so it will die. Brick Break. I don't know if it had Brick Break in the 5th gen, but overall Garchomp, extremely high attack, kills basically anything it touches. I had to keep retrying until it didn't touch me, was basically the moral of the story. Anyway, Electros. As I said before, this is one of the Pokemon that she replaced, or she used to replace another Pokemon. This could be potentially disastrous, because it's an electric type, but luckily it doesn't have anything like Shockwave, which is a perfect accuracy move, so I don't have to worry too much about it hitting any more than any other attack it might have. Gastrodon here. Gastrodon is quite defensive, so again, like Milotic, use a bunch of powerful moves and not worry too much about it hitting. Like, yeah, there's a Muddy Water, probably wouldn't have done a whole lot to Starsky. And Gastrodon goes down in 2 hits because it's a significantly lower level. Now then, Braviary, the other new one on her team. Now this is bird versus bird, so nobody really has any sort of move advantage or type advantage here. It's basically attack, 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 attack. But he managed to have the good luck of having Brave Bird hit there. But luckily it has recoil, so it's all good. He managed to actually hurt himself more than he hurt me. Now how he hit twice in a row, I have no idea, but after that whole Milotic scandal, I'm willing to believe anything. Now here I'm contemplating, do I want to heal or do I want to attack? I decided on healing, just in case something horrible went wrong and I wasn't able to make 2 more substitutes. It was better to be safe than sorry. Not entirely sure why I used Aerial Ace there, but hey, whatever. And this Braviary is hitting. I'm not sure why. Why is it hitting? Stop hitting. There we go. And there we go. Braviary goes down. This Battle of the Birds has decided in my favor. And Roserade. Really, Roserade doesn't have much of a counterpart in her black and white team, so I just, you know, did this. Roserade can be pretty darn threatening. It's high special attack and speed, but unfortunately, it's a grass type. Starsky's a flying type. Do the math, it goes down in 1 hit. I do kind of wish he had kept the Roserade. I like Roserade a lot. Anyway, Lucario, this thing. I don't want to rant too much about it in the black and white phase, because really the annoyance was in the Pearl fight. But still annoying here, because Aura Sphere will absolutely always hit. And it will absolutely always break the substitute. So, Lucario really had to be my most tactical in this entire little fight here. By tactical, I mean endure Aura Spheres. Aura Spheres, that's a wonderful way to pronounce that. Aura Spheres. Hope they didn't critical or anything, and heal back to full health. And if you have good memory, you may recall that's exactly what I did in Pearl, so, you know, back to the old grind. It does have extreme speed, which it uses sometimes, and luckily that can miss, as can Close Combat. Close Combat would probably be a KO if I had to guess. So overall, its diversity in moves kind of hurt it in the long run. Like, judging by its tactics here, it only used Aura Sphere to break substitutes, and I'm not really sure why. Like, I guess Close Combat would technically do more damage if it hit, but why wouldn't it factor in the evasion? I don't really know, but that critical was very nice, saved me a lot of time, and that takes care of the black fight, and let's just return a bit nostalgically over to the Pearl fight. This fight. You know, this was part of what factored into me thinking that solo runs were really, really boring and tedious, was instances like this matchup here up against Lucario. Because look, he reduces me to the red. I have to use a Hyper Potion to get back up. He reduces me to red again, and I have to keep using Hyper Potions basically every turn, and hope that he doesn't critical. And he did critical many times in this recording. I still remember. I tried so many freaking times, and eventually got lucky. But that kinda is what it comes down to in solo runs. You can plan out, you can both boost up, but honestly, one bad run of luck, and game over for you. And that's part of where the danger and the fun, I guess, of solo runs can be, and any challenge run, really. If something goes wrong, too bad, there's no way to recover. Now, of course, that being said, it's entirely possible to be extremely tedious, as you can see here. Like, yeah, Aura Sphere doesn't have that much PP, but the overall kind of slow battle speed of Pearl, especially compared to Black and White, and just the sheer predictability of it all, definitely made this tedious. So, overall, what about the inclusion of Cynthia in the post-game of Black and White? Personally, I think it's pretty darn neat to fight a final boss of a previous game, and they've done it before. Like, you know, they brought in Lance as the champion of Gold Silver Crystal after he was the 4th Elite Four member of Red Blue and all those guys. I mean, they brought in Red again as the final boss of Gold Silver Crystal. But really, that's about it as far as I can remember. And Cynthia was regarded as like, oh hey, here's an actually difficult champion. No type theme to her team. Actually competent AI for in-game AI. And like, you know, why not bring her back? Of all the trainers at this point, why not? I mean, she is kind of representative of a new era of Pokemon, really. The 4th generation was such a drastic change from the 3rd generation. It'd be a little weird to bring in anyone else, as far as I'm concerned. And honestly, they managed to make the fight challenging again. Even though you knew her team already, she managed to be challenging. Even though you didn't just go through a gauntlet of Elite Four members, it manages to be pretty challenging. Like, I think they did a pretty darn good job, and I think this is a really good way to have an optional super boss, personally. I mean, especially in comparison to Morimoto, who sucked. She seems really good. And anyway, we're almost done taking care of this Lucario. Holy cripes. So, overall, 5th solo run done. Starsky comes back to bookend everything. Definitely a long, editing-intensive playthrough, but I'm, for once, actually pretty happy with it. So, that wraps things up. See you, folks. This has been Black and White.